Sam O'Reilly with a Fight Talk podcast. Been a little while. It's been about 3 weeks. I can't remember what happened last week. Was it the snow done me in, or I can't remember.
I remember messaging you complaining that
I ain't even introduced you yet, Rich. Be quiet, mate. No Craig Scott. He's stuck up in the motherland, but I am joined by a much more handsome Richie Gray. How are you, mate?
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, I did say I sent you a complaint the other week, so weren't no.
Yeah, he did. He actually sent me an abusive text. Where's the pod? And it just loads of fucking rude emojis, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, so it's been a little while. We're back, even though it's Mother's Day, and we're kind of pissing off a few people, but she's alright. You bought my missus a present.
Yeah, I bought Sam's missus a
That's
present.
it. She smiled at me for the first time in years.
Let's hope you smooth it over.
Yeah,
I thought she's not going to be too happy about this.
I'm back in the good books. I'm hoping she'll.
Sam's got some work to do. I come in today. She's doing cleaning. Like, so that should be happening today.
She's Irish, mate. You can't stop that woman cleaning or cooking. That's what they do.
Mother's Day card and some chocolate.
yeah. So nice. It's been a little while. I wanted to get on. Been a little while since we've done it. So yeah, man. Let's talk about it. Let's. I was at the Goodwin show last night. Obviously, you couldn't make it down, so we're not going to talk in too much detail about it. But I want to talk about one or two little things. Brad Paul's Diego Burton was the main event. It was the only 10-rounder on the card. And it was a good fight, man. I mean, what do you know of Brad and Diego before the fight, and what do you know about him?
I've seen Diego box against, where was it? He boxed a 10. It must have been 10-rounder against
Mullender.
No, wasn't Mullender.
Markham. He fought both of them.
It wasn't them. This guy, he had like a blonde afro.
Justin Menzie.
I watched that fight. I watched him fight him. Great fight. Both of them. I can't remember the result now, but it was a good fight. They were both. You look at their cards. They were both not winning every single fight, so it was very, it was a great fight, and that was when I've seen him. Brad, I've seen him do bits with you guys, talking to you, and off the back of that, I've watched some of his stuff, and he looks like he's classy. Seems like a nice person as well.
He is. He's a really nice person. They both. Do you know? I've said hello to Diego in passing before, but last night after the fight was the first time I've really spoke to him. And what a gentleman! Like, so what happened was after the fight, which Brad won via a 9th round stoppage, which they both agreed in the post-fight interview was probably a little premature.
I see that he took that. He was like, "Well, he didn't complain.
Yeah,
he did just say, well, the ref's job's the ref's job." But
yeah,
it's a bit soon.
He's a fighter as well. He's never gonna, sort of say, "Yeah, I was done."
I was done.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, they both believe it was a little premature. Me sitting ringside, I scored everything to Brad, being honest. And it's what I said to you earlier. It was weird because I scored everything to Brad, but it was a competitive fight, which is it sounds strange.
That can sound unfair sometimes. When people look at scorecards and they think, well, that ain't fair. It was a good fight all the way through. That doesn't seem fair. But it's not that they've got beat up for 12 or 10 or 8 rounds. It's just that it's been competitive, but he's just nicked every round. Yeah,
out of the 3 minutes of each round, I gave the majority of it to Brad, although Diego was firing back and landing. And he's awkward.
Did Diego do much in the way of amateurs? Because Brad did a lot, didn't he?
Brad did a lot. I don't know, to be honest with you, is the answer to that. But his record before last night was 5 wins, 5 losses and a draw. But then you look who he's been in with and who he's given tough fights to, and I think he's a guy that he's probably had to take tough fights because I don't think he sells a lot of tickets.
Some of these boys, you've got not journeymen, they're road warriors. They can't sell tickets, so they'll just fight. Yeah, they'll just fight anyone.
Similar to basically the guy you fought last week. I'd imagine is very similar.
He said to me after. He said, "I can't really sell tickets, so I just fight whoever will fight me." And they're dangerous opponents because you don't really know how good they are. They might have a few losses, a few wins, and you think, "Oh well, he's lost to him," but then he's beat him. It's just but they're great fights. So he's had a record like that, gain experience, and it's obviously toughened him up because. Yeah, tough as fuck, isn't it?
So after in the post-fight interview, they both agreed it was a little premature, but it was really nice because I went into Brad's dressing room to congratulate him, and Diego was already in there. He was in there with John Cole, who was in his corner for last night. Lovely man, top guy, and they were just talking, and it was really nice to see. So I didn't want to disturb, and they were like, "No, stay," and we was all chatting for a little while, and obviously planned on interviewing Brad, and it was like Diego, get in as well, it was a really nice thing, and to have them both sit there. Both marked up, both fucking lumps hit out of them, and just talking on how they saw the fight. It's refreshing to see because how often do you see that? Not often.
No, that's it.
So it was really nice to see. I really enjoyed doing the interview. I think Brad is very, very, very good fighter. I think he could go a long way. Diego's always going to be in tough fights and give problems to people. So congratulations to both of those guys.
With people like Diego that have wins and losses throughout their career, they are the kind of ones that will have wins and losses. Then when they win a title, he'll win a southern area and he'll be slightly better than what he should be. So people will find it hard to get that title off him. And then he'll have a few losses, and then he'll have another patch. He'll get a shot on English and he'll win it. By the time his career is over, someone with that them kind of records, I think they have ups and downs, but their ups are so high.
Do you think as well, lately, maybe it's just my opinion, in one or two of the weight classes, and middle and light middle being two of them, the southern area, the guys that are fighting for the southern area and even the English, do you know what, you could say this about light heavy and heavyweight as well, they're above that level. Daniel Dubois is the southern area heavyweight champion. Now, that's a scary proposition because he won it, I believe, against AJ Carter, who, to all intents and purposes, is probably a southern area fighter. Do you know what I mean? It kind of stops being a southern area title fight when a guy is just picking it up for the sake of it on his way up to whatever he's going to.
Yeah. No, I think for when you add Arthur and Byfield, the light middleweight champions, they're slightly above southern area. Yeah. Matt and Billy at the minute, I think they're where they should be.
I'd agree. But Ted Cheeseman won the English, and
Ted Cheeseman's above southern area. That's why he's gone for the English, and he's going to be around that higher level. He's going to be. He doesn't need. He's gone past the southern area. He didn't even bother, did he?
No, I don't think he did.
See,
not many of these big promoters bother with it.
No, they don't.
Anthony Yard picked up the southern area against.
Thank fuck for that. Saves our faces.
Fucking hell. I mean, yeah, that southern area against Chris Hobbs, and it showed the levels. Like, Chris Hobbs was a man that won that southern area title off Jordan Joseph on a Goodwin show. Tough fight, and I believe both men were southern area level. And then Anthony Yard fights him for it and just, batters him. Like, it's the truth. He dropped him, I think it was half a dozen times, no matter how, so it's a strange one. I prefer seeing the southern area title fought for by guys that are at that level at that moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not ones that are definitely better than that.
Yeah.
Using it on the way up.
Exactly.
Some of these boys, like for Matt and Billy Bird, kind of, not a world title fight, because one of them could potentially win in the English, although they've got a hard fight if they do. But for them, that's like a world title fight. That's, they've worked hard. They've both took 15, 16, 17 fights to get there.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time coming for them. So it's going to mean a lot. And then, like they punch holes in each other. So sometimes you can get a better fight rather than having a person.
It's better to see for me. We get a lot of these. We don't get many 50-50s, and especially on television, a lot of the big build cards for like Frank Warren, for example, not many of them are 50-50 fights anymore.
I would rather see Billy Bird and Matt punch holes in each other than see Cheeseman come and batter some poor prospect who's had 4 fights. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you'd think, Cheeseman he's a wicked fighter and he'd be a great champion because he is good, but he's too good for that title. Yeah. So he's just going to be bashing the life out of people. Why not? They all want it. All the fighters obviously want to find their level so they can win the biggest title they can win. Yeah. So it's nicer to see when the matches are made right and they're put at the correct level. Yeah,
agreed. And talking about the southern area brings us on to Jamie Spate. He's actually still the current southern area featherweight champion.
I see that in his interview, yeah.
And he's lost 10 in a row because he's gone in the away corner. Obviously, the interview we did, it was about him staying busy, and I always enjoy talking to Jamie Spate. I speak to him most weeks. Top man. And yeah, he's still the current southern area featherweight champion, which is crazy, isn't it?
Who did he win that off, and when was it? Because I think I was there and I watched it.
It was a long time ago. He's beat a few people, but since then he's got beat by maybe 6 or 7 prospects that he's walked around. He's had 2 real tough losses.
He can't sell tickets, or
he could. He used to. He won his southern area 3 times at 2 weights.
Now he's struggling to get fights.
No. What he said was now. Well, I think he does struggle to get fights of any meaning, but he pays £600 a year to keep his license. Why not use it? He's done. I think he believes. I mean, he still believes he's a fighter, so he's going to believe he can win everything. You know what I mean? But if you ask anyone, southern area, it will be some people's level. So whether that's Jamie Spate's level or not, I don't know, and I'm not one to say. But the possibilities of winning Commonwealth or British, I don't personally think they would happen for Jamie. So he's done his titles and he's won his titles. So why not go in the away corner? He earns good money every week. He pays for his family, looks after his family.
It all changes after that. You can get yourself in southern areas in English fights. After that, it all changes. Sometimes I think personally, it's political. It's who you're with,
it can be.
What you've got around you, and stuff like that. Sometimes you get lucky calls, if you like, or they say the phone rang. Usually, you're the opponent then. If you're lucky enough to get that, if you're lucky enough to get a phone call to be someone's punch bag, then you get your.
Well, look at Chris Hobbs. He got the phone call from Warren and said, "Do you want to defend your belt against Yard?" And was someone's punch bag for a bit of money. Now, essentially, Jamie Spate did the same when he fought Cordina.
To step up for another title, though. To step up another title. If you haven't got a title, all these boys without titles, that's what I'm saying. If you've won the English, you're vacated or whatever, you're moping about trying to step up to British, you need to be in the right place to get that.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to have to wait around until Frank Warren or Eddie Earns goes, right, we need to get
such title.
Yeah,
for
we need to get
guy.
such. Or my guy's the champion. We need him to beat someone. We want him to look good. Let's find a contender we know he can beat.
Yeah.
We'll find someone. Oh, he's 15-0, but he's beat absolutely no one up or smashing to bits. Looks good with his record. Looks good on Sky. Come in. You get offered your chance. This is your big chance. You're 15-0. That boy's only had 8 fights. Yeah, but he did come straight out of there eliminated.
Yeah.
It's not always what it seems on the records and paper.
Yeah,
so
it's true. Records.
It's hard to get that next step, I think, from English to whatever you want.
Yeah. No, agreed. The end of that Jamie Spate interview, I asked him a question. It came from the tragedy, the Scott Westgarth, obviously death a couple of weeks ago, and I knew it had sort of hit him quite hard, and he'd been a bit emotional about it. So I said to him, "Look, do you believe anything can be done by the board?" And I don't know what the answer is. Is it a hydration test or blood test or something? And he said maybe a hydration test. Did he say the day of the fight, or make every fight a 24-hour weigh-in?
He did say make every fight a day before weigh-in.
Yeah.
And then,
giving guys the chance to rehydrate.
Yeah.
What do you think? Listen, you're a fighter. You have to cut weight. Where do you stand on this? Because
I actually think it's a great idea, and I commented on the YouTube thing because I thought it was a great idea. It will save a lot of people. It will save also a lot of people's weight categories will be changing. People won't make weights for a while. It will ruffle some feathers, but I do think it's a great idea. I think. And they can do it as well. You can have a blood test and they can check your hydration. It takes half hour to figure it out. It will be expensive though. It will be expensive. I don't know what equipment they need to figure that out. So is it possible to do that in an arena? I don't know. But
being devil's advocate as well. Your same day weigh-ins mean that all the board are already there for the show, aren't they? Who would be the person if it was day before weigh-ins, or I'm talking about. I'm picturing a small hall show in my head, because a small hall show. Predominantly the guys weigh in the same day, don't they?
Yeah, but
because they're not always title fights and stuff. So the day before weigh-in, where would that take place? Who would pay for it? Who would sanction it? Who would be there? Do you know what I mean? It would
cost
add
more
extra
money.
cost.
It would cost more money. It would cost more money. That's perhaps why they won't do it.
Yeah, that's
what
I'd imagine.
Money will come before safety, unfortunately. But yeah, with that said, I mean, especially if you've got travelling fighters, you've got a fighter coming from Scotland all the way down. He's now got to come the day before. Someone's got to pay for the hotel. Does it come out of his purse? Does the promoter pay it? Who pays it? That the official's got to come for the day before. That's not always a big deal because they might be local, but he's going to want an extra bit of money for that day.
Yeah, go out of bed and everything. Yeah, it's all added cost. It's money. All money, and maybe.
So the only reason they can't do it is for money. Let's have it right.
You'd imagine.
And that's the only reason they won't do it.
You'd imagine so. Yeah, that sounds. I hope something can be done. I don't know if anything can be done. I mean. Jamie made a great point, and I actually tweeted the same thing when people were going, ban boxing and stuff. People need to realise how many lives this sport has saved.
I watched an interview with Chris Eubank the other day.
Oh, he was on Good Morning Britain or something, wasn't he?
I don't know when the interview was from, or what was what, but someone asked him about boxers dying and brain damage and things like that, and he asked them the date of the fight. When they said the date, he said, didn't 3 cyclists die that day?
Yeah.
But yet no boxers died.
Yeah.
A boxer got hurt.
Nick Blackwell, I think it was talking about Nick Blackwell.
Yeah, it might have been that. He said, Nick Blackwell got hurt, but no one died. 3 cyclists died.
Yeah.
Why is no one banning cycling?
Mate, if you start banning every sport because somebody died, which are always tragedies, then there'll be no sport. Footballers have died on the pitch. Football's not really a contact sport anymore. It's the truth of it, but people still die. When you're putting your body through things that sportsmen and athletes do, you're always susceptible.
Banning boxing, it's not. People can do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. They'll just find another way.
It'll go underground and it'll be more dangerous.
Yeah, it will. It'll just be less safe, and I think it's fair. The people that are doing it are choosing to do it. Let them choose to do it. If you don't like boxing, don't watch boxing.
Yeah, 100%. Scott Westgarth said in his post fight, which it was tragic to see. It was horrible to see. After the fight, and he said, "I fight because I enjoy it. I like putting on a show. I like entertaining, and I love boxing." And that's what 90%, in my opinion, 90% of this country's fighters are probably in that same boat, because how many are going to cross that threshold of becoming wealthy through boxing?
Yeah,
there ain't going to be many.
Very, very small percentage.
Do you know what I mean?
Very, very small percentage are able to not work and train.
Yeah, exactly.
So that just goes to show, it's not only are they not earning much money, they're not even earning enough money to
be full time.
To pay their bills. So they're doing everything that everyone listening to this that isn't a boxer will do. Go to work, blah, blah, blah. They do all of that stuff. They do exactly the same stuff.
Yeah. Except
they have to go to the gym sometimes night and day.
Yeah.
Personally, I couldn't do it.
No.
I wouldn't be able to work and do what I do, and I would not be able to handle it. Too much.
First of all, I respect any man that gets in the ring, but you're right. Anyone that has to do this beside a full-time job, it can't be easy, mate. It really can't. But I'd like to think the board would do something. Hopefully they'll look at.
Chip in for my bills.
Yeah, here you go. Here's a score for your gas bill, Rich. Yeah, I don't know whether they will or not. Listen, I don't think they like having deaths spoke about and serious injuries. I'd imagine they'll be working on something that
It's a horrible part of boxing. Obviously, none of the boxers like to see it. It is horrible, and I imagine most boxers woke up when they read that.
Except Tyne Booth, because that guy is a fucking heartless piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that was.
Mate, I don't even want to speak about him anymore. But the guy is vile. To all the guys I spoke to that day, I spoke to you, I spoke to Jamie, I spoke to one or two others, and everyone was like hurting. It's like they had a bond with Scotland. Not everyone knew him, but you guys sort of share this weird bond because you all put yourselves through it and you all have that camaraderie. And then Tyne Booth is sending tweets out like that.
Yeah, don't
#man
even say
down.
his name anymore. We don't even deserve that,
mate. Disgusting, but whatever. That guy's whoever he is. I don't care anymore. But it is what it is, mate. It's the sport. It's the brutal sport that you guys love, and you're a part of it. And these tragedies will continue to happen unless something's done, I guess. But yeah. What was the next thing we want to talk about? MTK last week that you boxed on. More about it. We want to talk about their growth and stuff, didn't we? About how
they've smashed it, haven't
they? They're signing everyone. They're putting shows on. They're employing everyone. Could you have seen this growth come, like, say, 2 years ago? Because they were always sort of...
They've hit it hard over the last 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
Hit it hard. Like, every week there's a new signing. Most weeks there's a new signing. Not only that, I remember being on the first MTK London show. Mm-hmm. I think it was the first, if not it was one of the first. And it was home fighters and away fighters, if you like. And the room wasn't filled. And I sold a good ticket. I did near 250-300 tickets or something for that. And it still weren't filled in there because everyone weren't selling tickets in there. But they've gone from having spare seats in there, where literally a couple of times Lee went, if you want to come watch a show, mate, on ones that were on, you can come along and watch the show. Like get some boxers in, fill some seats, and keep it busy. Gone from that to the last show was on, and the one before. If anyone's got any spare tables, I need them back. We've got to sell them again. Yeah. Need them back because people were desperate for more seats. There were so many people coming to watch this show that everyone had to give the tables back as soon as possible so they could be sold to other people that wanted them.
It's true. It's quite quick as well. Like, obviously they've been around because they were known as MGM, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were down as MGM, and then they had like a big. They changed the name and stuff as they were getting bigger.
I thought that would affect them.
I thought it would affect them negatively.
I thought that was going to be a big deal. I really did at the time. I thought, oh no. That's
Mac the Knife is a shit name. Like, I'm still stand by that. Mac the Knife.
I never think of it like that.
Yeah, just call it MTK.
I just think of MTK. Yeah. I don't even think of MGM anymore. I just think of MTK.
Well, MGM was obviously the reason it had to change. I believe is the hotel group, innit? Who got MGM Vegas and all them. So, but I suppose it should have been a sign. I should have been smarter and realised for them to realise they have to change their name because a big company are paying attention. I should have probably noticed that something big was coming, but MTK
to get big enough to bother someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. So Frampton they've took on, Fury they've signed a lot of good boys, and they're putting on shows all up and down the country, places that aren't seeing many fights, as well are getting fights now, which is it can only be a good thing for boxing.
Yeah, I think MTK have done wicked. Like, they've gathered a lot of the local boys in and kept them local as well. There's a lot of local fighters and they get on these shows. We have to go to London a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Now we're getting local shows, which is nice. There's a lot of the boys that are on these shows in the area.
And I know 1 or 2 areas they're moving into as well later this year.
Yeah, they are trying to move.
Yeah, Lee's told me a little bit, so there's a few more things to come. Yeah, it's a good thing. Richie's getting questions.
Can I get this in there?
Go on.
Someone's asking me questions, and he's gone, is it hard to stick to your diet plan and keep up with your training involved in being a professional boxer? How do you stay motivated? And this one of my good mates, Sam. I said, Sam, your questions suck. Such a basic bitch question. It is, isn't it? It is. It's such a basic question. I said to him, your questions suck. And he went, okay, how do you feel after getting beat up by Dwayne Brown?
He's got a point. Shut your mouth, Rich. You got your head punched in.
For those that don't know, Sam's been to a fight as well. He got sparked.
You did. You mentioned it on the last podcast.
Last one, Sam. Jesus Christ.
He got banged out at a fight.
And he wasn't even boxing.
Quality. Yeah, MTK. good shows, moving about, signing up everyone, and doing good things for boxing, I think.
Yeah, massively.
What I would say as well, they put on more 50-50s than a lot of small
Lee
shows.
loves 50-50s. Now, I've known Lee since before I turned pro, and I boxed on one of his shows before I turned pro, and Lee has always liked 50-50s. That's all he wants. And if he could, he would do 10, 15, 50-50 fights, but obviously all the boxers won't do it.
Yeah.
They won't all take 50-50 fights. No one wants to take
We
risks.
know there's a lot of guys that don't want to take the risks.
Yeah, but Lee, for these MTK shows, wants 50-50s all the way. We wanted 50-50 for my last fight on that show. That opponent wasn't the one we originally wanted, but sometimes it don't work out that way.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to get another 50-50 for the next one. Obviously, Lee will support that because Lee's not about... Obviously, he wants his boys to come on, but he's not about giving you 15 journeymen to beat up to say you're 50. No, he'd rather have entertaining shows that people want to come and see.
Yeah.
So he will...
He put on Taylor Jones against Nick Gemman, which at the time, I don't know if I thought it was a 50-50. It ended up being a bad defeat for Tay at that time, and 3 fights later he's Southern Area champion and won it on the road on Friday. Congratulations to Tay, by the way, because that was not many people would have wanted to take the fight 4 weeks notice away from home when he's a ticket seller. He could have done that at home and waited or whatever.
I think they gave him like 25 tickets as well.
They did.
I think I heard him say it at one of his things. Well done, Tay. I think he boxed. I think he beat the kid up.
He did.
He beat him up. Now I don't know what Matt's like. I don't really know Matt, but Tay did beat him up.
He did. I've interviewed Matt Legg before. Nice guy. Watched that fight and Tay dropped him early. I think the first round.
Yeah, do you know what? Lee Eaton or someone who was doing the live stream on that, you suck because
it was Adrian Martin.
You missed that.
I'm sure it was Adrian. I'm sure it was Adrian.
Adrian.
He had his hand over the microphone. It was poor, but we'll let him off. But yeah, congratulations to Tay. And my point was, he lost on MTK 3 fights ago in a tough fight that people didn't expect him to lose.
Yeah.
But he lost and learned from it and came back. So I like to see that. Lee put on Tyler Goodjohn and Barker. And that was a close fight. Barker will come again. He would probably have learnt more from that in his 5th fight, fighting someone like Tyler, than against some random Eastern European that he's expected to beat up. So I think it's a good thing. I really think it's a good thing if the boxers can just realise that these are what the fans want to see. And nowadays, in a diluted market where there's fights on pretty much every weekend, 50-50s is what we want to be seeing. So congratulations to all those boys who take those fights. We're going to move on. We're now going to talk about drugs, not recreational drugs.
Drugs are for mugs.
Drugs are for mugs. We're going to talk about Canelo and his failed drug test last week. I think it came out last Monday, maybe Sunday or Monday, that he failed one of the drug tests for clenbuterol. I think it's clenbuterol. Listen, I don't know the ins and outs of drugs and PEDs. If you want to listen to it, go Terry, the Seven Wolves Boxing, on the New Age Boxing podcast. He bangs on about this. Every single podcast he mentions drug cheats and how rife he believes it is at the top level.
You know what? I did a poll on Instagram the other day about drug cheats in sports, boxing or any sports in general. Should they get a fine and a suspension or a lifetime ban straight away? I was so surprised at results. It was 50-50 all the way.
50-50?
Yeah, and there was about 100 votes on it.
Do you know, someone did an article yesterday and I haven't read it. It was shared to me and I haven't got around to reading it. But it was something along the lines of, don't we just let everyone take what they want and it's a level playing field? That way, everyone knows any advantage you can get. No one's pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. I haven't read the article, so I can't comment. But it's another. People probably get sick of it.
Before,
just let everyone take what the fuck they want, and you get geezers walking roided to fuck. Can you imagine? No, not for me. Thank you very much.
More people get hurt.
Yeah, more people would get hurt. But I guess, then they ruin the sport for everyone if that happened. Because what if you don't want? If you want to be clean, or what if you can't afford steroids?
Yeah,
you can barely pay your gas bill. You can't even afford steroids. But yeah. I want to speak specifically on Canelo because they blamed contaminated meat in Mexico, right? And they're allowing this fight to happen.
Oh, is the fight still going ahead?
Of course it is.
Okay.
Cinco de Mayo, Golovkin Canelo 2, millions and millions on the line. So what they've said is it was contaminated meat in Mexico, so they've insisted he moves his camp over to America now. The fight's in 6 weeks? So, in my opinion, and I don't know the ins and outs of drugs, alright, or PEDs, I believe he was at the end of his cycle and got caught, and they've let him off. That's how I see it.
In my opinion, I think a lot more of these top fighters are doing stuff, and Yeah, but they get tested. Listen, they know how to get around that. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They'll do whatever they think they can do to get away with it. He's not putting steroids in himself. He's putting steroids in his food, and then eating the food, getting it in his body. They're doing whatever they think they can get away with to do it. And then when it comes to a test, they'll cheat the test, or they'll do what they can do to get around it. Say no to a test until they know they're clean, and then do it. Personally, I believe not all of them, and I might be wrong, but a lot of the boys at the top, I think, are doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Just because until they can't, if you like, they're coming up with new stuff all the time, and they'll find a new way to do something else to help them. And this was just, he thought he's being smart. I won't do steroids, but put steroids in me carrots.
Yeah, listen, there's lots of examples. We spoke about that film Icarus before, that's on Netflix. It's just won multiple awards. Me and Craig have been banging on about it. That's fucking phenomenal. Where the guy, he ends up wanting to do a documentary about how PEDs affect you. Want to do a big cycling race and then do it again next year on PEDs to see how. And he ended up completely changing. He ended up getting in a relationship with the guy who was basically single-handedly running the entire doping, the state-sponsored doping of Russian athletes. And he'd been covering it up for years and years. And eventually it came out and got caught, etc., etc. So yes, there are new ways to catch people, but that means there's new ways to get away with this shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If they're smart enough to come up with new ways to find you, I'm pretty sure there's people that are still getting away with it. And I've said for years, I believe Manny Pacquiao was doing it. I have no proof. I look at him and think he jumped up fucking 8 weight classes, and I don't believe he did it naturally.
The reason why I think some of these top boys are doing it is because sometimes there's Martin Murray. He hasn't won his world title, or has he won it? He didn't win it, did he? But he's just shy of winning it. Now, the boys that will beat him, if you like, let's say Saunders, he might win the fight, but Saunders is going to batter him up, yeah.
Yes.
But he's not going to. It's going to be a bit like his last fight. He's going to beat him up, but it's going to be through boxing ability. Mm-hmm. He's not going to smash him to pieces like a Golovkin would and ruin the rest of his life, Yeah. So, but then there is a gap between world level and superstar level, but there's no in between. There doesn't seem to be an in between.
Do you think it would make me a hypocrite, or us in general, to say that I don't think many top British fighters are on them? Because listen, there's a lot of stories and there's a lot of theories, but when you look at that upper echelon, like I look at Canelo, I see the way his body's changed in a few years. Now he's probably he's growing up into a man. His body has changed dramatically, in my opinion, and I believe Pacquiao's did as well.
The British fighters ain't walking about like Billy Joe Saunders, your Tyson Fury. They're bad examples.
They're really bad examples. Tyson Fury,
even Ricky Hatton when he was boxing, Joe Kawasaki. Most of our boys, I mean, Kell Brook's in good shape, but most of our boys are not walking around mountains of muscle. That has question marks. They're not walking around mountains of muscle. Anthony Joshua is obviously, but he's a heavyweight. It's not really the same as all the other weights.
Yeah.
Most boxers at world level in other countries are walking around looking like bodybuilders. They're all wham. Our boys ain't wham. Our boys ain't walking around like that.
Yeah.
What are we doing different? What are we?
Yeah, I know. Do you know what I will say? Obviously, not many people, I'd imagine, listen to this are MMA fans. Me, I'm a massive MMA fan. And in the last couple of years, there has been a dramatic shift in the amount of people that failed drugs test and their bodies have changed. There's a guy called Vitor Belfort. There's a guy called Alistair Overeem. And when they brought in a specific type of testing, it literally
changed the game.
Unbelievable. Their bodies went from looking like Greek gods to dads, just literally dad bods, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to take what they were allowed to take anymore. And again, it wasn't against the rules back then or something. I don't know the ins and outs, but again, the proof is in the pudding. You can look at someone's body and go, you can only train so fucking hard. Your body can't go from looking like that to that. It just can't be done. So at the top level in many combat sports, I'd imagine there was a lot of drugs knocking about and a lot of PEDs, and I believe Canelo's a cheat. That's my opinion, and I hope Golovkin punches his fucking head in. I do. I hope Golovkin takes his fucking head off his shoulders, because I don't believe it's luck. You can't just blame Mexican meat. You can't just say to me, when he's probably now, if Floyd is retired, the #1 pay-per-view star in the world, because he has Mexico, the entire country behind him. You can't tell. That's not good enough. That is not good enough to say, oh yeah, but it was the meat I ate was dodgy. Fuck you. You've got all this money and all these nutritionists and all these people, and you're going to fail a drug. Fuck off,
then
man.
You know what you're doing.
Of course you do. Of course you do. So that's my take on it. I don't believe it's luck. I don't believe it's unluck.
But do you think he's monitoring every bit of meat he puts? Yes, at that level.
Yeah, yes,
100% he is.
How much is he going to earn from that fight on Cinco de Mayo? Selling out Vegas, pay-per-views all across the world. My guess is 50 million. It's probably there or thereabouts. You're telling me you can't employ
He's not buying cheap meat.
You get a guy that you're going to pay $5,000 a day for your entire camp, right? To monitor what he puts inside of you. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be this hard. There should be no question marks. But they've all defended him. I think it was the WBA president was sort of mate, it stinks. It's disgusting. So fuck him. Basically, is what I'm saying to you. That's off the list. Scott Quigg.
If you still want to fight Canelo, I'll take the fight.
How much would you have to get paid to fight Canelo?
I'll do it for $100,000. I'll do it for $50,000.
Even though he's juiced up to the gills.
Yeah, it's $50,000.
Steroids on the way into the ring.
Listen, you never know. Swing one over the top.
Yeah. Scott Quigg. Now, it'd probably take 1 minute to talk about Scott Quigg. I didn't watch his fight. You watched the highlights. He's a disgrace for missing weight by 3 pounds. I only know one other geezer that's ever done that. Richie Gray. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink.
Listen, Scott, I'm not judging you for the way. But to be fair, I'm not fighting at world level. You are.
Or at £126, where £3 is like fucking, like, I don't know, 5% or 10.
Weight.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy. First of all, by missing by that much is terrible in a world title fight. He bores me. I don't believe he's come on at all under Freddie Roach. I think he's a Joe Gallagher fighter through and through, who now is trained under.
You know what, I took most of that. I watched a bit of the highlights and I watched him warming up with a friend. I thought, is that Freddie Roach? Did he look old?
He does.
That was the highlight of watching it for me.
Time caught up with Freddie, like, no doubt. But yeah, Quigg's a guy that I think he done well. He won the world title with Super Bantam, didn't he? He had the unification bout with Frampton, which was really dull, really fucking dull. But I think he's probably achieved as much as you'd expect to achieve from him. I don't think he's a great boxer. I think he's very good. He's very hands-up style, Joe Gallagher walk-forward boxer, but he never offers, in my opinion, anything special. He doesn't look great. So, yeah, that's Scott Quigg for you. That's the whole fight summed up. Did he win or lose?
He lost.
He lost.
Yeah, I think he just got his head boxed off, didn't he?
I saw a picture of his nose. That was fun.
Walk forward with his hands up, pop, 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 move around, pop, 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 move around, and that. I watched the highlights, and all the highlights seemed like they were just one big round of him marching forward and getting at box, really, more than anything.
Manny Pacquiao, we're going to talk about because looks like he's going to be fighting again. Who's he going to? They said who he's going to fight. Can't remember. Do you care anymore? Like, if you're a Pacquiao fan, surely you're going, just fucking hang him up, mate. I'm
a Manny Pacquiao fan. I really am, and I think as much as I love him, I do think, why? Like, why now? What have you got left to do?
Mm-hmm.
What's left there for you? Like, everyone that was in your era has retired.
And beating you. Mayweather, Marquez.
Yeah, they've all moved on now, if you like. He's been around for 150 years. I don't understand what's he got left to prove. He's not going to be coming back to pound for pound number one again. He's too old and there's too much fresh young people coming through. He's got money. I mean, maybe he's in it for more money. Maybe he just loves boxing.
He's in politics as well in Philippines.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
I don't know if he's in. I think he's like a mayor or a governor. He's something.
He's a singer as well.
Yeah, he's a singer.
And he plays basketball.
Yeah.
He sung after one of his fights once. Went to the concert after the fight after he lost.
He's better as good as Tyson Fury though. Do you remember him when he won the world title?
They should have a singer.
Yeah, no, class.
But I think he is. I love him and I like watching him, but he's not what he used to be. And since they've caught him on his drugs, it's just gone a bit downhill.
Yeah, that's Manny Pacquiao for you. But listen, he's had a great career. I'm baffled as why he's continuing. You know, having whether it was controversial or not, having a defeat to Jeff Horn on your record.
Yeah, that's when he needs to.
Just stop, man. Like
when Mike Tyson lost to Kevin McBride and he went, listen, I shouldn't be losing to this level of fighters.
Danny Williams beat Tyson.
After Kevin McBride, he said, I shouldn't be losing to this level of fighter. Same with Manny Pacquiao, you shouldn't be losing to this level of fighter.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the other fighter, but Manny Pacquiao was way beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah,
to go back down there, where's he going to fight for an area title eventually?
The Philippines area title.
Keep going until he boxes for an area title.
Mate, fair play to him if he does. Imagine that on the small hall in Philippines. Manny Pacquiao turning out at 48 years old.
We'll get him at your call.
I heard that's his dream.
To your call.
Yeah.
Get him at the Brentwood Centre.
Yeah. Fucking hell. But it's a weird thing when guys go on too long because I've said it before. It's a weird one. In one way, who are we to tell a fighter who's achieved everything when you should hang them up?
But it's happened before when they've been old, they've had ups and downs, and they've come out of nowhere and done something special. So I mean, it has happened. So
yeah, I guess Roy Jones Jr. for me is the standout because if you look at his highlights from the early 2000s and the things he was doing, he was just beautiful. Like, he's one of my favourite boxers to watch. Roy Jones Jr. The hands behind his back sometimes, and he was just fun to watch. Do you know what I mean? and then you're getting beat by Enzo Maccarinelli. Nah, mate. Nah.
Well.
Yeah, badly. Like, it shouldn't be happening. And right, Enzo was a good fighter back in the day. Like, he was world champion at cruiserweight before David Haye took his soul. Like, David Haye ruined him. He did, mate. In the 0-2 that night, David Haye changed him.
You had to get him in, didn't you?
I will never go a pod without talking about the Haymaker, you know this. No, but it's true. David Haye ruined him. That night, he stopped him in the 0-2 he unified the cruiserweight. Enzo was never the same again, and he got beat by a lot of people after that, and then went and beat Roy Jones, which it shouldn't be happening, but it is what it is, isn't it? People go on too long. Bernard Hopkins, alright, he might be different because he won a world title. He was still holding the world title at 46.
All the juices and steroids that has ever existed in history.
Do you reckon they let him away with it because he was also the promoter of some of the fights? Golden Boy and that.
Listen, whatever, that man's doing push-ups in round 11 against a 25-year-old at the age of 50. Come on, listen. Hard work and all that beats talent, but come on, Jesus Christ.
Someone drew the line somewhere.
He's defying the laws of physics there, isn't he?
Yeah, he was a little bit...
He's round 11, he's not even sweating.
Bernard Hopkins, the guy. Remember when he said, I'll never let a white man beat me, and then Joe Calzaghe beat him? Yeah. But he did drop Calzaghe in the first round, and Calzaghe goes back to the corner and goes, what happened? What fucking hit me? And he didn't know what happened, but that was fun. That was good boxing back then. Roy Jones and Hopkins and Calzaghe. I kind of miss those guys, but we've got a new breed now, and I don't know where, I'm just fucking blabbering, but the Eastern Europeans are taking over, man. Like Beterbiev and Usyk and them guys are scary.
They're
as
big
fuck.
and tough, though, aren't they? They're big and tough.
I don't believe they're on it. You know that. You know when you look at them, you go, you're just bred hard, you cunt. You just fucking these Soviet countries, mate. You're literally out the womb and you're fucking in armies and shit. They don't fuck about. So yeah, I think they're the future of the world. Like
you said earlier, maybe we should do the steroid boxing, the non-steroid boxing. Let these guys all do it. If you want to do it, do it. Yeah. But you can fight each other.
Make an organisation. Like.
There was a time in bodybuilding where they could all do it. You know, Arnold, he used to do drugs and just do steroids and everything like that. So everyone says how great he was, but he was doing then with drugs what people do now without drugs. So imagine now.
I mean, the difference with him is his job didn't involve punching someone in the head.
Obviously, it's dangerous. That's the difference. But they could do, I think in bodybuilding they do different competitions for people on it and people not on it.
Do they?
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure my mates have told me they do natural competitions and non-natural.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen. People would at first they'd go, oh no, I'm not entering that steroid one, it's not for me, and then eventually one or two would go into it and say, oh, I had to recover from an injury, so I had to take such and such, and at first they'd get over the stigma and just realise, I'm just going to punch the fuck out of a fellow juice head. So I'm sure it would be alright. Alright, we're going to move on to questions now because we've actually had a shitload of questions come in. It's because they know the world famous Richie Gray weather, you know what I mean? Loads of questions just come in from Terry, the Seven Walls Boxing, does the New Age Boxing podcast. I think the best podcast in the country for boxing, I really do. No one comes close, no matter what Box Hard tries to tell you. You know what I mean? You don't know what I'm saying, yeah.
Don't know what you're
Box
saying.
Hard believes he's the best, he ain't. He can suck a nut. Seven Wolves and New Age are the ones. So let's go into it. We've covered some of them. The first one is it time to accept the war against doping as lost in boxing?
No, I don't think we should sort of throw the towel in and say they do what they want and get away with it now or anything like that.
When a governing body is allowing it to happen, it kind of stinks, doesn't it? Because that's what they've basically made up an excuse for him, and they've allowed it to happen. For me, there's nothing else that surely anyone else would have had the fight cancelled and postponed until further notice. But what they said is we'll move it, and they gave him another test that came up clear a few days later. Or it doesn't matter. It's been done. The damage is done, but they've allowed it to happen.
Yeah. What about the opponent? What does he say about it?
Give me $5 more million, please.
Is that what he said?
No, but it's got to be in it. You're telling me Golovkin has seen that Canelo's failed a drugs test and had nothing to say about it?
The problem is they've already boxed, so you know what it's going to feel like to get hit by him anyway. So you might as well go, I don't want to lose out on my 50 million, so I will fight him. But like you say, you might say you got to
sweeten it a little bit,
sweeten the deal for me.
Maybe.
But then that stinks to shit.
It does. It's disgusting.
So listen, Sam, we'll fight. And because I've been active and you haven't, what we'll do is we'll let you do steroids for your 6-week camp and I want to make it a bit more even.
Yeah.
That's not okay, is it really?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I wonder what Golovkin...
This is the problem with boxing, that money
rules it.
Money comes before everything. I'm sorry, I love boxing. I'm turning pro, it's different to how much of boxing. It's a business before it's a sport.
Yeah.
And it will always be that way, unfortunately.
Do we accept the war is lost? Do you know what? No, because there is new ways to catch these people. But until a governing body stand up and say,
why don't they do yearly drug tests? every year.
Because then that gives you a year cycle to get on it, and you will change your body dramatically in a year. The random drug tests worked for me. I mean, Bellew and I think it was Bellew and Park or so. No, it might have been Joshua posting up that he's been drug tested randomly a lot lately, and that's what it needs to be. But again, it depends on what the punishment is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If there's no punishment,
if it's a fine, I'll take a fine.
Unless there is a blanket put over boxing, whether you're a small hall or the pay-per-view #1 star in the world, there is a blanket. First drugs test failure, regardless of what it is a year ban, and the second one is lifetime. Or do you know what I mean? Something.
I do think they should all be treated differently though, because can you punish someone the same for doing fat burners than you can for actively doing steroids?
Very true. Very true.
Is that fair?
Dillian White failed on Jack 3D.
Yeah.
It must be 7-8 years ago, which everyone knows what it is. It was it's the pre-workout. So it gives you a little bit. It doesn't do anything for you really. But this is a long time ago, 7 or 8 years ago. He failed for Jack 3D, which is a pre-workout. Which some people don't even believe in pre-workouts, but some people try them, and he failed on that, and he got banned for it. So you're right. That's not the same as a steroid.
So they do need. You can't just say you did drugs, you're banned. Personally, I think you need to be case by case.
And what about recreational drugs? If someone is out of camp and they have a line of coke, again, they shouldn't be, but it's not the same as going into a fight camp and hitting steroids. It's not
performance enhancing.
No, it's not the same.
If anything, you're hindering yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be doing that just because of the pure fact that you're supposed to be a professional athlete and you're not acting like a professional.
Yeah.
And I think.
But should that carry a ban or it's a lot. There's a lot to go through.
That's a ban not through danger. That's a ban through you're making younger generations think that that's okay.
Yeah.
Just for that reason, not for any other reason.
I wonder if there's
maybe a fine for that.
I wonder if there's situations where that happens behind closed doors because the board or whoever it be deem it not to be dangerous. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if anyone fails a drugs test out of competition for weed. I heard a rumour that
I don't know if it's true or not. There was Frank Bruno just smoked weed or something to keep him calm.
I've heard that. I don't know.
I don't know if it's true.
I've heard that, but I don't know.
But if it's that openly known,
yeah, I've definitely heard that. But I wouldn't know either way. But again, if that's outside of his training camp, should that have any bearing? I don't know. Maybe it's a hard question. Is the war lost? No, I don't think you can stop and just allow.
Yeah, we can't just stop and be like, right, free for all, do what you want.
Yeah,
that's obviously each case by case, and then we'll do what we can.
Second question from Terry: are small hall boxing fans becoming like non-league football fans? They think their product is so good that it should be broadcast, but really, it's not that great.
That's a fair question.
It's a very good question. It is. I'm a small hall advocate. Like, I like to believe I'm the voice of the small hall. You know what I mean? Yeah, some fights are shit. I can't sit here and. I went to Goodwin last night and there was 15 or 16 fights, and a couple of the boys, they don't seem like they're going anywhere, and that's just being honest. Not everyone is going to cross the threshold of being a title fighter. Should it be televised? There's been main events, and we always come back to it. Leon McKenzie, Cello Renda. That it saddens me. It saddens me because the sport would have. It was a great advert for the sport. We spoke to Leon last night ringside, myself and Martin, and top man. But you know what he put him through that night, and Cello as well. They deserved that to be televised. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely a difficult one. Definitely not all
because a lot of these supporters think their one they support is world champion.
Yeah.
World champion. Whether they win, lose, whatever, they're world champion. They're the greatest boxers to ever walk the earth. So yeah, they do think that. Sometimes people do think that they're more entitled than they are. The fans think that their fighters should be. But let's be honest, some of the cards shouldn't be televised. I would flick it over some of them. Mm-hmm. I look at some of the cards and think, I love boxing, but I do look at cards sometimes and think...
It's difficult because the prospects need to get out. They need to get their learning fights in, but not everyone's going to enjoy watching it.
But you need to have a card. If you're going to put 10 fights on, you need a 50-50, maybe a 60-40, or a couple of 60-40s, and a couple of 50-50s. Just one 50-50 and two 60-40s. Sweeten the deal if you like.
Yeah, agreed. But should it be televised? No, I don't think a lot of them should be.
Streamed.
Maybe streamed, given away for free. That's a big other question mark.
Sales.
Massively.
I don't advertise it.
Yeah.
People go, is it streamed? I ignore
but now with the size of IFL, everyone starts to know. Everyone starts knowing that. I'm pretty sure all MTK London fan fights are going to be streamed on
It
IFL.
ruins ticket sales.
Yeah.
So that you're taking money away from yourself.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't advertise it. People ask me, is it live stream? But I just don't reply.
They're gonna know now, Rich. Sorry.
They all know anyway. But they don't know the link.
Yeah, that's a different question. Should some of these fights be brought? I agree with what Terry's saying in a way that I love it, yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean anyone's gonna want to sit and watch it. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Is it time small hall promoters started working together more formally? Between British Warriors, Steve Goodwin, MTK and Mickey Elliott, there are great fights that could happen. Prime example, Dan Aziz versus Andre Sterling. Could not agree more. Could not agree more. Imagine that. Imagine there was a British Warriors and a Goodwin show or something like that. Or, you know, Kurt Garvey, I believe, won last night at light heavy. And Dan Aziz, who's MTK. Imagine they could be put together at an early stage to find out straight away.
But would they take it? I'm not saying no. Dan probably would take the fight. I don't know Kurt very well, but I know that Dan would probably take that fight, regardless of that. How many boxers are going to take these fights?
Yeah.
Come on, we all know that all these boys ain't going to fight contenders. They're 5-0.
Do you think there'll be a time when boys realise you will learn more from one defeat against a fellow prospect or knocking over 5 Hungarians?
Do you know what my worst nightmare is as a boxer?
What?
Retiring as a journeyman beater.
Yeah.
Retiring knowing that I've not boxed anyone.
Yeah.
I want to have boxed hard fights, entertaining fights. That, for me, that's the worst thing, to think that you might have 20 fights. I look back and think, Jesus Christ, I didn't box anyone.
Dean Richardson is a very young kid, and he said to us, that sounded condescending, I don't mean a very young kid, he's a very young fighter, 21, 22.
He can punch, I'm going to tell him you said that.
I lay him out, he knows, bruv, he knows. But
I'll tell you where he lives, Dean.
He's been here, he's alright. He said something that I really liked, and I can't remember what interview, a long time ago. He said, I want to be known as a great fighter, not an undefeated fighter. So,
Perfect.
yeah, what good is being 20-0 against, I don't want to be rude and say bums, but yeah, that's what I'm saying, bums, and not have fought anyone. Whereas if he ends up, say, 17-3, but those 3 losses were in the toughest fights, and
I've said that from the start. I've said I would rather have 17 fights, 3 losses, than have 20 fights, won them all, and box no one.
yeah. So it will come down to the boxers, in my opinion, Terry.
It's
I
the
think,
respect you get as well.
yeah.
From that.
Imagine that. Imagine Elliott put his top boy in. This is my number 1 light heavy. Who of MTK's got in it, and so, you know what I mean. It would be.
If they work together,
great.
it would make some great fights. It would,
because they could. I mean,
I don't think the promoters are not working together. I just think the boys are picky.
You believe the fighters?
I think it's the fighters that are
struggle.
picky. I don't think it's the promoters. I think it's the fighters. I think the promoters are happy to mix their boys up. Obviously, a ticket seller, they don't want to put him on another show because then they're...
Well, I like that. In I think it was the end of last year, Steve put most of his Essex boys on an MTK show.
Yeah.
He had Mark Little. I don't actually think he's Essex. I might just be fucking assuming. But Adrian Martin was on it. I think he had three of his fighters on it.
Steve does send his boys on to other shows.
Yeah.
He does do.
He said that, and he likes... So, but would he do that
To let him
fight a contender? Now, there's going to be an interesting situation coming up soon. You know that.
He'd want that. He'd only want that on his own show. That's the only reason he wouldn't do it. He would always. I think he would accept some. That's the thing. They want to keep their ticket sellers and their big fights for their shows.
Yeah, of course.
Well, they need to double up on a show then. MTK Goodwin promotion together.
Yeah,
And that might make a better
imagine
one.
a super show, 46 fights. No, but imagine
2 rings like the old amateurs.
Oh fuck it, or like the white collars do.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have a situation like that soon, I imagine, because Tay has now picked up the Southern Area title, and Linus and Brad both want that title. Linus Udofia, Brad Pauls both want that title. So I don't know how purse bids work for Southern Area. I don't know if they'll come to an agreement. But there's going to be a situation like, but that's going to be a one-off for a title.
Wasn't Brad's fight an eliminator?
It was an eliminator, yes.
So what will happen, I think, is so he's won that now.
Yeah.
He's now mandatory.
Nope, it's not final eliminator.
Savage.
Savage.
You're an animal. They're animals,
Yeah,
aren't they? They're animals.
So he may have to win one more before he can get to fight for the Southern Area.
Regardless of that, I think it will be who's going to offer him the most money where the show goes.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. MTK.
I'd imagine if Steve Goodwin phoned
Steve.
up MTK today and said, we want to give you 10 grand for Tay to come and box Brad in June. Do you know what I mean? It would work out how the fighter believes he's going to make the money, how if he wants to be in those tough fights now. There's a lot to work out. I think you're right. I think the fighters are the key to this. And I wish more boys would realise this.
The promoter's only for money because they want the big fight, but there's no reason why they can't make that work.
Yeah, it would be very
More
nice.
the boys than the promoters.
Very nice to see a few more 50-50s between cross promotions. That's what I'd say. Terry's next question. He's got a lot of questions. Big up Terry, but fucking hell, mate. I don't know. You know more than me. I don't know what happened to Rances Barthélemy last night. Cuban curse again. We're recording this at 11 o'clock in the morning. I got him from that Goodwin show at midnight, and I was pretty much asleep early doors. So I haven't seen it all, Terry. Forgive me. Next question. Has Hannah Rankin shown women how to make a career in female boxing? She's grafted her way through virtually every gym, learning, and has fought regularly. She went looking for the opportunities. Hannah Rankin, fair play to her. She's fighting the 7th of April in MTK Scotland for the Commonwealth title. Mate, she's...
How many fights she had now?
She's like 4-1. 4-1 or 5-1. I mean, she got a split decision loss away from home in Germany, I believe, or Norway, something like that, on a big show. And I've seen her fucking sparring everyone. She's sparring Chantel Cameron, and she's sparring a lot of people, and she's eager to learn, and I like her. She's a lovely person, and she's just a good fighter. You know, you see someone who's out there grafting, you can't help
doing what she's got to do.
Yeah, and this is a woman who's a full-time classical instrument player. That's like she's a bassoonist. You know that? It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that instrument. That's how you know it's good. But
that's how you know it's good. I've never heard of it.
Not that I'm someone to judge my classical instruments by, but you know what I'm saying. Fair play to her. I like Hannah Rankin. Craig's going up there. He's flying up there to be ringside, and hopefully she does the business. So good luck to that one. On that one, Cello Render is Southern Area champion. So why is everyone ignoring or avoiding him? What's your thoughts?
I think he's tough as fuck, and not many people fancy a bit of it. Like you said, Lerone might, but we don't need it.
I think Lerone would fight him, and I don't imagine they'll let him fight Cello Render.
I don't think he needs it. With that European title he won in his last fight, was it his last fight?
Yeah,
he won the European. Does he need it?
It was only the WBO European, wasn't the top. But yeah,
whatever it is, do you need to go from European to fight for a Southern Area?
Maybe not. I think there needs to be a standout prospect who is saying, I want to be the number one in Southern Area at Super Middle, but there isn't. There's no
like I said, there's them boys earlier where they'll win some, lose some, win some, lose some, and then they'll win a title, and then they're just tough as fuck. That's what Celerendo is. He's been around, he's won some, lost some, he's boxed top boys, some lower boys.
Do you know he was Peterborough Sports Personality of the Year 2017?
Was he?
I promise you, because he won that title.
Because
that title meant so much to him.
He's tough as fuck. Like, people, if you lose to him, he's already got a few losses. You've lost to him, they go, you've lost to someone with loads of losses.
Yeah.
So
people who don't understand.
If you beat him, you go, you beat someone with loads of losses. So, and he's tough as fuck. So he's a very, very, very hard fight for what might be not as much reward as what you should get for him, because you should get a lot of reward for that.
And he's not backed by a big promoter, obviously.
Who's English champion at that weight?
At Super Middle, Darryl Williams. And Darryl Williams is defending against Lennox Clark on the Billy Joe Saunders bill.
Can he not try and move forward in...
I think he's been trying.
But it's just not happening.
It's just not happening for me. That fight with Leon McKenzie, which was, again, probably my favourite fight I've ever been to, seriously. I can't remember when that was. Was that October last year? September, maybe? And he's been calling for fights. Like, he wants to fight. It's not like he's sitting there on his belt going, yeah, that's it, I'm done. He wants to fight Cello, but there has to be, and off the top of my head I can't think of one, a super middleweight that's going, fuck it, I want that title. I don't care who the opponent is, but risk and reward.
What's Southpaw? Is he Southpaw? He boxed I don't know if he's Southpaw. Can't think of his name now. Higgins. What's Higgins doing?
Higgins he got beat by Craig Richards for the Southern Area in a close fight. And then he was due to box someone.
I think he's been active recently.
No, he hasn't. He was due to box someone and pulled out because he wasn't in the right space, and I can't remember who. It might have been Leon McKenzie.
Yeah,
it was Higgins and McKenzie,
it was.
and Cello stepped in for Higgins,
and
ended up having that fucking insane
There's the fight I'd like to see then.
What?
I'd like to see
Higgins is he active? I don't know. Yeah, mate, it's a hard one, isn't it? Imagine having a title but no one backing you, so no one can force anyone to fight you.
Yeah.
I don't know what he ends up doing. It's a shame for him because he deserved that title. That meant a lot to him, the Southern Area title. And Terry's final question: is the AJ Parker the least exciting build-up to a Joshua fight? It's pretty dull, isn't it?
I said this earlier.
Pretty dull.
Listen, whenever anything goes on social media about this fight, I'm falling asleep. This fight does absolutely nothing for me whatsoever. Joseph Parker is not a real threat. He's been built up like that guy that boxed Golovkin.
Which one?
The Canadian banger, Billy Joe.
Lemieux.
Like Lemieux, they found him. He's got a good record. They thought, yeah, that looks nice. That looks like a real fight. Anyone in boxing knows it wasn't a real fight, and Golovkin's always going to demolish him. Yeah. This, for me, is exactly the same thing. Joshua's going to steam train him. It's not a real fight. I'm saying that it is not a real fight.
I believe there's 2 fights that will get me interested in Joshua again. It's either either Fury or Wilder. And Wilder just because the build-up I think will be great, and Fury because I couldn't predict it because I've got.
I'd like to see Ortiz in there as well.
Who?
Ortiz.
He's 66 years old, Rich. Leave the man. Let him retire in peace, man. He came out in a retirement home for that fight. He showed what he has, but he's just too old, mate. He ran out of steam.
How old is he now?
What, legitimately, or how old is he really? They say he's 38. That motherfucker ain't 38. I'm sorry. He's at least 53. Like, he's been around, mate. He's had a hard paper. Around the side. He's been around, and he ran out of steam. He couldn't stop Wilder because I don't think he had anything left. So I don't think that's a fight I particularly care about. Ortiz showed he's got the tools and he is what we thought, but against the younger, fresher man,
I'd rather see him against Joshua than Parker.
Yeah,
Parker does nothing for me.
It does nothing for you. It does nothing for me.
It's not as good as Wilder.
But it picks the title up, doesn't it? It'll give him 3 of the 4 world governing bodies belts. 4 out of 5 if you include the IBO, which not many people do.
Wilder and Fury and AJ is the way to go.
Yeah, there's a nice little triangle there that could happen. That it's the only way I believe any of them.
King?
Yeah, it's the only way any of them are going to gain any credibility. In my opinion, who wins out of them? I don't know, and the reason I don't know is because I don't know who Tyson Fury is anymore.
That's the truth. It depends how Fury comes back.
Yeah. If he comes back the same as he did in the Klitschko, there's one winner for me.
Depends how much damage Wilder and Joshua do to each other if they fight first.
Yeah.
They could ruin the other one.
Yeah, who knows? There's a lot of permutations, but I also think it's a pretty poor era for heavyweights, is my honest opinion. I don't think anyone is going to go down as a great.
What happens when one of the 3 beat the other 2? What next?
What if one of them beats 2 of them?
One of them beats both of them, then
then what you need to do, because that won't be for two years or so. You need to hope someone's come up and like Dubois in 2 years might have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What do you think of Dubois and the Giant Baby?
The Giant Baby. Who's the Giant Baby?
What was it? We was.
DL Jones.
No. Is it Haymakers?
Oh, why do you call him a giant baby?
He looks like an enormous baby.
Not Joe Joyce.
Yeah. He looks like an enormous baby.
He's fighting Donny Palmer next week. Do you know who Donny Palmer is?
No.
He's a 6'10" American heavyweight.
Oh, I see. I
heard he's been bashed around gyms for the last few years. He was down here being promoted by Assassin's Promotions a couple of years ago, and I heard he got battered off a couple of guys that hadn't actually turned pro yet. So
Joyce and Dubois.
Joyce versus Dubois. It's a great fight. I reckon Dubois
for me.
Yeah, he was
Joyce is a slow motion giant baby.
But then Dubois got found out a little bit against DL Jones, you know. A little bit. Like, obviously he's still got the job done, but there's still a lot of question marks over the 20-year-old. He's 20 years old, man. Like, let's give him a couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's give him a couple of years. And then see where he goes from there. Any more questions? Very briefly, the last question from Terry. Are Frampton and Quigg on their way down? Have they had their moment? I hope not, but the signs are ominous. Quigg I don't think was that great to start with. That's my personal opinion. Frampton I think sadly is on the decline, but the Donaire fight is a good fight and he should win it, but I don't know if he'll be top table again. What do you think?
Frampton's levelled out. Quigg's on his way down.
Yeah?
At the moment for me.
Alright. What was that question? You've had a couple of questions sent in?
I think I've sent you a couple of them.
Alright, yeah, the first one for you, I got it here actually. The first one for you was from Martin from New Age Boxing. And his question was, let's have a look here. Richie, I thought it was hugely honourable of you to take the criticism of your fans on the chin. Class move. That said, would you have preferred that you were consulted before it was published? From what I heard, your fans were hardly anything out of the ordinary at a boxing event. So first of all, for the people that won't have seen it or don't know about it, say exactly what publication and what was written.
There was an article, obviously they write up in the Boxing News about the fights. In fact, I've got it here, so I'll read it to you.
Yeah.
Exactly what it said. Oh, first page.
As if he had it fucking bookmarked.
Pick of the undercard on this MTK promotion saw Oldham's Dwayne Grant shot Brentwood's previously unbeaten Richie Gray. Taking the decision after 6 sessions, some foul-mouthed Gray supporters vented their fury on referee Chaz Coakley.
Right, so first of all, you issued like a statement where you sort of apologise. What did you say exactly?
Basically, my supporters are not really like that, and reading that, it surprised me anyway, because my supporters, they're not like that, and they know that I don't like booing. I've never liked booing and stuff like that. Yeah, make your opponent feel like shit before the fight. You can tear him to pieces during the fight. When that fight is over, the fight is over. That the opponent has nothing to do with any of the result. The ref is doing his job, and everyone tearing into him. Which I thought, reading on this, it sounds like they was tearing into him. But speaking to everyone that was there, they was like, well, nothing really.
Yeah, your statement, you were sort of apologising, but not so much saying.
I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't know who said what. I have no idea. But
what I will say is, you were extremely professional, as you were in the post fight that you and I did. You know, it might have gone a different way. Your opinion is it could have, etc. But you don't blame the ref. I have an opinion on this. I think it's a fucking disgrace that that's written. I'll tell you why. I said this to Martin last night. I was sat ringside, obviously, and I heard one person shout, "That's fucking bollocks," when the scorecard was given, right? That's not that bad. It wasn't foul-mouthed. And there was another fight that night where some of the fans were getting fucking irate. They were sort of pushing the barriers, got a little bit intense at times. Let me tell you something. It's the fucking fight game. Their mate or their brother or their cousin or their friend is getting his head punched and trying to punch another man in the fucking head. One man shouting he didn't agree with the scorecard. When you say foul-mouthed fan, that makes it sound like there was someone like abusing the ref, calling him XYZ and turning the air blue. It wasn't that. And I was there, and I think that's disgusting that dinosaur has written that. I stand by that, because that's the Boxing News, right? It's going to be a very good publication. There's people that I know that write for it. Brooke has written for it. She's a very good reporter. This man, I see him at plenty of shows looking like he's nodding off. Like, I'm not going to lie, he's a very old man, right? So don't sit there and write something that could tarnish your name, because it could do. And I'm not saying this because I like you, because I don't really like you that much, but I'm saying it because I think that's wrong to put that in a sentence with someone. First of all, I believe he should have consulted you.
What worries me is that, let's say for example, I could get an opportunity on a bigger show, say Eddie Hearns or Frank Warren. They might turn around and go, oh, actually, didn't he bring drama to the show?
Yeah.
And now that might.
It could definitely taint someone's view
for something that hasn't actually happened the way that it's been explained.
Mate, I thought that was wrong when I saw that. I didn't see the article. I don't read it, but I saw you posted it and you apologised and so. And I was like, mate, I was there. That didn't happen. There was no foul-mouthed abuse. It got a little bit intense 2 fights after yours. Yeah,
it's gonna get intense. Like, it's gonna get intense. That's boxing. You know, there's people are drunk. There's adrenaline everywhere. How can you sit there and not expect that from people? When you have a fight like that, it's going to get like that.
I'd be interested to see what that man wrote about the Copper Box show when it would have been, it was World War III, there were bombs going off. I don't understand it. He's written that in an article about one man I heard swear that disagreed with the result. And I don't even know who it was, but all I know is he didn't agree with the result. He wasn't throwing shit in the ring and constantly. He said when he was sort of shocked at the scorecard. Yeah. Which, I don't know. I wanted that put out there. I think that was disgraceful. That was written in the Boxing News, and that old boy needs to have a look at himself. He's a dinosaur. He probably doesn't know what iTunes is, or he won't listen to this. But I think that was fucking wrong that he done that. I really do. I don't agree with that one bit. You got a question in from your gym mate, Jack Healy.
Jack Healy. He's got his fight again soon. He's been out obviously doing bits and bobs, but he's back now. I think it's in April. He sent a question. How do you feel about Jack Healy being the best looking guy in the Wilkie gym? I think he spelt fat wrong. How do we feel about him being the fattest guy in the gym?
Oh, what a prick.
Oh,
is he still fighting at welter, or is he going to go up to super middle now with the timber he's put on?
Super heavy. Super heavy.
I'm not going to talk about weight and I'm the fattest man in the room all the time, everywhere I go.
Me and Jack can't spar at the minute because he's too heavy.
Oh,
let's got to try and get down to my weight.
ID is the best looking man in that gym, fuck you both. Is ID on that show on the 28th of April?
No, I think he is, yeah.
He is, yeah.
There's quite a few of us. There's like 4 or 5 of us.
Quality, nice, good show. Alec gets buzzing, doesn't he? He announces the fights before it's actually officially out there. Alec, I love Alec Wilkie, but no, Jack's. I like Jack. I had a lot of time from first proper interview. Been out the gym, been out the ring rather a long time. Had a little girl and that, so I hope he comes back strong. And I'll get him on a podcast one day. I'll get him to slag you off.
It's not my fault he's fat. It's Kate's fault.
Oh, you prick. He'll say it's fatherhood.
He was on a cruise a little while ago. I was like, cruiserweight, that's about right.
Jack, what a guy. A couple more questions from Martin. Have you noticed the pattern? 90% of the questions come through from our mates at the other podcast. Just top blokes, Martin and Terry. So thank you for that. It keeps us busy. We know 2 people listen to the podcast, so we're all right. It'll be free because Craig's not here.
I think my mate Dave, who is AJ's biggest fan, I think he's got posters on his wall. Dave will be watching this now. Yeah,
what,
I introduced him to your podcast, and now he listens to it.
He ain't going to listen to after we slagged off the fight, are we?
Especially now he knows that I've given him a shout out. I watch it now. I'm going to tell him you've got to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah,
Right,
don't tell him where. Martin, first question: is there an argument that at £2.5 over and refusing the fight day weigh-in, the Quigg Valdez fight should have been cancelled? It turned out okay, but if Quigg had damaged him, we'd all have said that was stupid, because obviously he came in £2.5, and at featherweight that's a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
We've seen it before where guys take the fights. Guys take the fight. Do they take a percentage of their opponent's purse?
Get a fine.
They get a fine.
Yeah.
In MMA, they take a percentage of their opponent's purse. The guy that accepts the fight.
It's a heavy fine as well. Isn't it?
So yeah, probably not. But yeah, I get his point. What if Valdez had got smashed out by Quigg, who was overweight, and then we go, that was dangerous. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Case by case.
Yeah, maybe case by case.
If they're not a puncher, you think they don't punch anyway.
Yeah. Second question: Richard Comey picked up the win from the away corner again last night. Did you see this? He stopped Luna, mate. Comey's a beast. He's out of like Pro SW gym, and he's fucking Ghanaian. He's got to be the best Ghanaian fighter, isn't he? There's a few of them. Dogbo's about, but Comey's a guy, mate. But given his willingness to fight anyone, anywhere, do you think Hearn should bite the bullet and bring him in? He doesn't even really need to invest in him. Let him do as he does and hope he wins a title, then invest in him here. So that could be like Tete, who Frank Warren has. Didn't do a lot with him, and he kind of won his world title, and now we see his name floating about on Frank Warren cards. I guess you could do the same with Comey. I was with Ramez Mahmood last night, interviewed him, and he was buzzing for this fight. All the guys around there say he's literally a top bloke, and he's won so many fights on the road. So they're the kind of guys I'd like to see given a shot on a big promoter show. You know what I mean? So I've never spoken to him. I don't know a lot about him personally or his story, but I think I might track him down and get an interview. But he's a guy that has been around for a long time, won fights on the road all over the world.
Cello Rendo is doing taking fights because he takes fights, and
this is
just needs to be given. He'd entertain as well.
Yeah,
you could stick him on Eddie Hearn's show, and he'll have a war with anyone.
Yeah, no, I think people like that deserve a chance rather than always Olympians.
They've done their time as well. They've done their time as a pro.
Yeah,
you get these. They've done a lot in the amateurs, but they've not done their pro bit yet. These have done their apprenticeship. You could stick 2 of these in with each other, and they'll fuck each other up in front of the whole world, and
we'd love
everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah. And his third question: should the board employ former boxers such as Leon McKenzie to consult younger fighters? He has so much to share, and as a tutor to young lads coming up, could offer guidance on mental health from a real-world perspective. That's a superb question, and it's one I agree with massively. I tweeted out yesterday about Bradley Smith, that I was looking forward to seeing him back in there. He had his troubles last year. 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid, something like that, was 7-0, and then opened up that he was struggling bad with some mental health issues and stuff. And first of all, it's brave to do that. As a man, we don't like to talk about that kind of shit, you know what I mean? We like to push it away. Now, as a fighter, I'd imagine the stigma that you'd kind of think you'd be thrown, and I don't know, it's difficult. But Leon McKenzie's been extremely open. He's got a documentary coming out where he's gone all over the world and spoken to people about this, and he's been very open about it. He tried to kill himself when he was a footballer. He struggled with mental health for a long time. Leon McKenzie is a great man. We sat with him and spoke to him last night, and you know, you can see that he has the knowledge, the wisdom. First of all, not only has he had 2 careers and pressure and stuff. It could
definitely be used to help boys. Definitely, 100%.
How would it work? So, do you think there could be somewhere that
perhaps the board can have? This might just sound ridiculous, but you could have the board saying, obviously, fighters struggle at the end of their career, even in their career. Obviously, boys go through a lot.
Well.
He could be employed by the board of control for someone. When fighters feel they need to talk to someone, they can talk to him.
Yeah, because he's been through it. I wonder if would they contact the board, if there's a way, like an open forum, they could contact the board and say, look, having a few mental health issues, I wonder if I could speak to someone, and it'd be sort of public knowledge between boxers and trainers and everyone that there is somewhere to go to, because at the minute you don't really know. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you were smart and your head was in the correct place, you could reach out to Leon, because I'm pretty sure he'd help you. Like he had words.
Of course, but if you don't know him, you might not want to.
You might feel strange about it. So it would probably be a wonderful thing for the boxing board of control to say, listen, this is where you go if you're having troubles mentally, or there's something you feel you need to talk about. This guy was an ex-fighter himself. He's been through it. He knows what you're going through, and you can talk to him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more people out there struggling than what
I agree. I think that, and I also think the fact that we don't really have any openly gay boxers in this country. This is 2018, yeah. Like, we're in a place where the world has changed a lot. You've got different genders these days and different sexualities and that, but boxing still seems to be a little bit in that place with certain people. It's a man's game. Like, some of them don't even like the idea of women boxing, and you're just strong men and you box. As simple as that. And for me, it ain't as simple as that anymore. Men and women go through shit. The world's changed. It's a different place. So I think it'd be a great thing if the board said to Leon, look, we want to employ you to maybe speak to fighters or just be a port of call. I think it could work. Do you reckon? Do you think if that was the case and it was widely known that there was someone there to talk to, you'd have more guys than we'd think?
100%. 100%. I think the amount of pressure and stress you put yourself under as a fighter is unbelievable. Even for a small fight, you expect so much of yourself, and you can act normal, act not. But when you don't realise how much pressure you're under until a few days after, and it's all gone, and then you're sitting there scratching your nuts with nothing to do, thinking, well, what now? And you can see you see these top fighters when they go a bit off the rails at the end, and you can see why, because the highs are high and then the lows after are so low. Even the pressure you put yourself under, and I think some boys without even serious mental problems will want to speak to him just to be, is this normal? I feel like this.
Yeah.
I feel like this, and I think this sometimes.
Not everyone deals with a loss the way you do either. There's some guys that I know have been badly affected by getting that first loss, and I guess some guys it would feel like they're on their own. Like, they go into the ring on their own. Obviously, you've got your team and stuff, but when you come out, you're the guy that lost. So they may be worried about
your coach might have 4 fighters that night. 3 of them won. You lost. You're on your own.
Yeah,
you're on your own. It is very lonely. It's very, very lonely. Like, it does a lot to you, doesn't it? It does a lot to you. You go through a lot for all that. So, and your trainers and your managers, and they're there, but they're not going through it. What you go through in your mind, and everyone puts themselves through a different process to get ready for a fight.
Everyone's different, isn't they? Like, everyone is different, but whether you're a fighter or not, everyone has different things that they can handle, different pressures in life that they can put up with, and some can't. So I think it'd be brilliant if it's something that was more widely spoken about.
100%.
Fair play to Bradley Smith for coming out obviously Leon as well, but Bradley at such a young age to come out the way he did, and he did interviews on BBC Sport about it and stuff. I thought it was superb. So he got another a win last night. Congratulations to him. I'd like to see the board implement something now, in this changing climate.
Yeah, 100%.
I think this is the very last question. You ain't got no more of ya?
Sam sent me a load. It is, who have I got? Have I got my eyes on anyone? How did I feel when I dropped my opponent? And he has a few comments about judges and referees. Should there be 3 judges outside the ring in all fights like they have an amateur, not just the ref doing it, because he's got a hard enough job as it is?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of fights more than 8 rounds being scored by the ref. That's me personally. I've seen, like, last night was a Southern Area Eliminator. We don't know how the ref would have scored it, rather, because it got stopped in the 9th. But after 10 rounds, he would have had to score that, the ref. Yeah. Now, he's had 30 minutes of making sure the fight happens the way it's supposed to, no fouls and etc. And then you're asking him to score it.
We'll score it round by round, won't they? They do it at the end of each round.
Of course they do, but
for a fight, for example, like, I get messy in my fights. It gets very messy. And as he's thinking about scoring, while he's thinking about, don't do that, do this, you can't do that, you 2 break, stop doing this, stop doing that. He's got a lot going on. There's a lot of people.
Do you think the reason there aren't 3 judges for every single fight?
Expenses.
Because you'd have to have 3 representatives, or 3 judges, as well as
three spare judges.
3 spare judges, exactly.
So 6 judges.
Not forget all the refs that are employed, all the timekeepers, the whip, there's so many, like, the board inspectors and stuff.
I would like to have had 3 judges in all my fights. I would like to have it that way.
Yeah.
I think most fighters would rather have the 3 judges, different opinions, different perspectives of the fight, but unfortunately, that's not the way it is.
Money is not going to allow
Money will not allow that to happen. But yes, I would prefer there to be 3 judges, and I'm sure most fighters probably would.
Yeah. How, the next one, who do you have your eye on? You're in a different situation now. The other question is probably quite similar to this. I'll shout this one out. Raps on TV, guys. Thank you for this one. Do you think it is more beneficial to your career to take a loss early so you can learn from it rather than further into your career? Now, that's probably going to answer the same question, because you've now experienced that loss earlier than some guys might have. But we spoke about Tay earlier, who had it early in his career and learned from it that much. He won the Southern Area.
Yeah.
Me personally, I believe yes. I think you learn from it the earlier you get that loss.
I think it depends on personality. I'll go away and punish myself, if you like, for losing. I'll now be training with you have to win. You have to win now. You have to win. You have to win. You can't have another loss on the bounce. You can't do it. It'll give you an extra edge. And with learning, yeah, I think you will learn from it early, but it depends because everyone will take it differently. Like you said earlier, some boys will take a loss and it'll bring them down, and it can just bring them down, completely down. So personally, yeah, I think it's going to sound weird. I think that what happened would be the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even now. So even
why have you asked for another 50-50, you lunatic?
I don't want to be in. I don't. Not because I'm getting old or anything like that. I'm 20. I'm 28 in about a week. Like I said to you, I don't want to be a journeyman beater. I don't want to just box journeyman. I still think I can beat contenders. I legitimately think I'm good enough to beat most contenders. So why do I need to fight a journeyman? Why do I need that? My support don't want to see me beat up Julio Kompatvi, the road sweeper from Latvia. Yeah. They want to see me in real fights, and I want to see me in real fights. And I think I can make mincemeat of some other contenders anyway. I can make them look like a journeyman, but I need them to accept the fight to come and have it with me. So we've been looking at contenders. We wanted a contender for the last one. He wasn't an undefeated contender, but he wasn't a journeyman. He was a road warrior. Yeah. So this time, I don't care, a road warrior or a contender. We're looking at boys with 9 wins, a couple of losses, 10 wins, 10-0s. All these kind of half-decent records, so it can push me on. Do you know what I mean? I think I can beat these boys, and I don't need a warm-up fight because, like you say, with a loss, some boys need a confidence booster. Yeah. Hasn't got my confidence, so I don't see it necessary to have a tune-up fight or a comeback fight. I don't need a W.
So again, that will come down to personalities and how different people.
Everyone's different, and I think it's again case by case. It doesn't knock my confidence being a loss. I enjoyed myself in there. I thought it was a good fight, and I don't need a confidence booster for it. I'll continue the same journey I was doing regardless.
Definitely. 28th of April, you're back out. That's the next MTK show, so you're literally not fucking about. You're like, you know what? I'm getting straight back in there. That's a good show. We just mentioned all the Wilkie boys on it. Headlined, I believe, is it Sia Rosgul and Danny Connor? Good fight, that.
Good fight, that. Danny's got experience. Danny knows how to hustle in a fight.
Sia Rosgul's been out a long time as well. He was a fucking animal. I think he won his Southern area off.
Yeah, I think I see that.
Parsons.
Yeah, I see that fight. Yeah. Oh, he gave him a hard night.
He did. Parsons is a tough fighter. He gave ID his first loss.
Yeah, he did.
He gave ID his first loss. Tough man.
I think he's again a road warrior. He's not a journeyman or anything. He's a road warrior. Yeah. So he's got losses because you'll see boys with 15 wins and only 1 loss, and you'll see a boy like ID who might have 5 wins and 3 losses, or
because he's straight in them tough fights.
But the difference is that person's had 15 fights, has only boxed, or they might be 15 and lost 3. ID might be 6 and lost 3, and they'll think he's well better because he's got loads more wins. It's not that he's better because he's got loads more wins. It's that ID took the risk earlier. Mm-hmm. ID had 4 fights and thought, right, I want to fight contenders now. Yeah. Lost, or got a draw and went, I still want to fight another contender. Lost, still want to fight another contender. Yeah. Whereas these other boys,
he went from drawing with Sohail Ahmed in a fight. I believe he was winning, but he got a bad cut.
Yeah, that was
bad cut. I believe he was winning at that time. Listen, it could have changed, and Sohail could have come on strong. He then asked for a contender straight away. Went in with Sanjeev Sahota. I thought he won by a point. The ref gave it. He lost by a point. It just shows, doesn't it, how close that can be. If he gets the win against Sohail and then Sanjeev, it's a very different story for ID Hill.
You don't. That's what I'm saying. If you look at that on paper, and you'll see someone with 5 or 6 wins, then a loss, another 7 wins, then a loss. You go, well, he wins more than he losses. You might look at ID and go, he's on a bad streak. He's not on a bad streak. He's on a good streak. He's taking hard fights. Yeah. He's not decided to go, I need a win to trick anyone. He's not into tricking anyone and going, I'll fight a couple of journeymen, get a couple of wins. It's not about that. The only time I want to take a journeyman now or an away fight like that is because I can't get an opponent. I need to get some rounds in. Late notice, can't get an opponent. You have to fight what's given to you. Yeah. And sometimes that's what happens. Other than that, I think fight someone with meaning. The only problem is it's hard because not everyone has that attitude. Yeah. They just want to beat people up.
He asked you to name some names. Are you going to name any names of who you want?
No names, just people with winning records that are coming to fight. That's what I want.
Alright.
There's a couple we asked for last time, but it was a bit late last time. But middleweights, light middleweights, I'm floating around them. Whoever's would accept what we offer as an opponent, or see what comes offered to us.
Yep. Would you box away?
100%.
Yeah.
I'd like to box away. I'd like it. I think I'd enjoy it. Yeah, I'd enjoy it. In fact, I wouldn't have to sell tickets. I'd jump at the chance. If I thought I'd beat them, I'm not going to go to fight someone who's had 15, 14 knockouts and think I'm going to win. I'm going to fight someone I think, all right, listen, he's had 10 wins, or a couple of stoppages, 3 or 4 stoppages. If I think I can beat him, I'll go anywhere. 100%. Wouldn't think twice about it.
Love that. Wish more people had that attitude and we'd see more 50-50s on the small hall scene, but some people don't think that really does a lot from. I hope people start seeing it from the other side, where a loss against a contender is better than 3 wins against absolutely nobody.
Yeah, of course, yeah, that's what I think.
I think that's it. I think we're out of questions, mate, aren't we? We're done?
Yeah.
It's Mother's Day, I better take her out before she buries me.
She's got a chocolate at the minute. She'll be alright.
She's going to cut my Jacobs off.
She's only letting this go so long is because I bought her chocolate and she's happy with me, not you.
You softened the blow.
Yeah, softened the blow.
Anything else you want to mention?
No. Harry tried to get me to mention his tattoo shop, essextattoo.co.uk.
Yeah, he did a good job then, didn't he? Because he's just done it.
Because he's got it. But Harry, you're going to have to listen to all the hours of podcast to get to it.
Yeah, don't tell him when it is.
No, I'm not going to, but it is in here.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think we're done.
And I think we are there or thereabouts. Sam's sending me more stuff, but it's more...
He's missed the boat, hasn't he?
He's missed the boat. It's all sort of about judges and...
Yeah. We answered some of them, that'll do.
Yeah, of course. I'll be back. I'll be fighting another contender. No, I don't hurt because I'm from a loss. It was a great fight, and that's all that matters.
That's it. I might be on commentary. Drops the mic, gets out of it. I might do commentary for that one. You know, I'm a world famous commentator these days. It's not true. I did one fight. I walked in. I got the headphones thrown at me by Lee and said, "I need you to commentate." It was your gym mate, Lewis Smith. Yeah. It was alright. And you know what? Fair play to Lewis. Me and Charlie Edwards did it, and he tweeted us both the next day and said, like, "Thank you for the positive and the negative comments, like the feedback. I'll take it on board." I thought, fucking hell. Like, that's fair play to Lewis. You know what I mean? He didn't have to say that. And so yeah, I enjoyed doing that. I might even do some more in the future. Yeah. Some good fights coming up, mate. April 28th, I will be there. Get all over your socials, Richie Gray, everything. Richie Gray official, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Listen, thank you very much for coming down as always, my friend.
Happy Mother's Day, and thanks for having me.
There you go. This has been the Fight Talk podcast.